This is 20,000 years old. See, here somebody died doing Shambhavi, or they died in a Siddhasana posture some 8,000 years ago in Romania. There are skeletal images of people sitting in… See, that could be you when you were doing your Shambhavi Mahamudra, you happened to die. We can see that thousands of years ago, people practicing yoga, they lived and died in yogic postures. To leave your body with your legs crossed in a proper Siddhasana posture. And there are any number of images showing people sitting in yogic postures 354 days, which is the lunar cycle of the calendar, which is what the Hindu calendar follows even today. When I have spoken long time ago, 10, 12 years ago, I've always spoken in terms of 40 to 60,000 years ago, because in the yogic culture, that is how it is seen. But today, without a proof, if you say something, it'll become meaningless in the world. Because of that, we have brought down the date to 12 to 15,000 years. Here is a 18,000 BC, which is 20,000 years ago. They made calendars, which is purely the yogic form of calendar. You will see in India any number of pictures like this. Here is this third image, or the first image which is made into a diagram in the third phase, is three sets of spirals. The central set of spirals and the lower set together represents the solar cycle calendar, which is 364 days, which is the year that we follow even today. And the upper set refers to 354 days, which is the lunar cycle of the calendar, which is what the Hindu calendar follows even today. And a combination of these two, which is today being referred to as lunisolar calendar, this is 20,000 years old. And somebody cannot arrive at this without an inner perspective. Just by observation of the outside, one cannot arrive at a calendar like this, this is a very sophisticated manifestation of the calendar. If this is written in Braille, even if a blind person puts his hands around, he will know which day of the year it is, which day of the month it is, and which phase of the moon it is. All these things can be found out just by touching the rock or looking at it. And along with that comes snake worship, which is the three snakes going up. This is a representation of Ida, Pingala and Sushumna, the three channels within the body. So this is a very yogic expression. India is full of these kind of images. This was found in Siberia, which is dated as 18,000 BC right now by the archaeologists. There are images of homes or buildings built in triangular forms, which are over 8,000 years, that's 6,000 BC, in places like Romania. Eastern Europe and Central Asia is full of these kind of possibilities. If you look at the geometric perfection of how it is done, this is the basic form of yantra. Triangular block in Isha Yoga Center is built exactly like this. Unfortunately, we are not 8,000 BC, we are now we built this only about 22 years ago. And they built a perfect yantra-shaped building for whatever purposes that they were doing this. Obviously, these are aligned properly to the eastern direction, and these directions are adjusted to either equinox or solstice usually. Our own buildings like Dhyana Linga and triangular block are adjusted to the equinox, because equinox is significant for me in my perception of life. That is 23rd of September is a equinox, and because my understanding of everything comes from the equinox, I adjusted it to the equinoxes. Some of them adjusted to the solstice. For the Saptarishis, solstice must have been definitely be a most important aspect of their life, because it is on that day, for them, Adiyogi opened up the doors for them. So if you go on like this, there are any number of possibilities. As we go further to Turkey, to further down to Mesopotamian region, Greece, Crete, further down to places like Lebanon and North Africa, you will see geographically every place has something to say where the influence is yogic in its nature, and a whole lot of them going back, way back to like 12,000, 13,000 years. For example, we can see here in Turkey, which is dated as 10,000 BC. This is a very typically Indian image in the terms of a linga or a head with a snake climbing on it, because this is the yogic symbolism of a human being's inner potential being aroused. Or it is the symbolism of Kundalini. Similar images are found as far as South America, in Peru, in Ecuador, in that region. One must understand, most of these things have been either destroyed by age and the natural processes that happen on the earth in terms of earthquakes and other events that happened. At the same time, they've also been systematically destroyed by certain forces in the last 2,000 years or so. Systematic destruction of anything which was considered pagan happened in many areas, and either buried or broken or destroyed or used as material to build other buildings that they wish to build. In spite of that, there is substantial evidence spreading across the planet showing that the influence of the seven sages, the yogic culture and the science of yoga manifesting itself in so many ways. We must understand the proof that we are talking about according to today's archaeological substance is only the physical proof. Today, you are doing yoga in United States. Suppose 1,000 years later somebody wants to find out how will they find yoga in you? So there will be no proof in your home, there will be no proof anywhere that you are practicing yoga in your life. So it is only when we manifest something which is physical, which is made in such a way that it will last forever, only then we can talk about it. But even for this, we can see that thousands of years ago people practicing yoga, they lived and died in yogic postures. There are skeletal images of people sitting in… See, that could be you when you were doing your Shambhavi Mahamudra, you happened to die or you attain enlightenment and you are conscious enough to leave your body with your legs crossed in a proper Siddhasana posture. See, here somebody died doing Shambhavi, or they died in a Siddhasana posture some 8,000 years ago in Romania. And if this one person did this, I am sure this is not the only person who did this. There must have been a whole culture of this dimension. And there are any number of images showing people sitting in yogic postures. This is usually the representation of Pashupati as one dimension of Adiyogi, that is, he is the Pashupati. They called him Pashupati because all the life forms are claimed to a certain genealogy, and because he exhibited or he demonstrated how everything comes from the same source and that source is nothingness, and he is a representation of that. Because of that, he was called as Pashupati. And also because when he when he sat in certain states, it is something that people have witnessed, that all kinds of creatures gathered around him. Because all of them gathered around him, people saw him as the lord of all creatures, and he's the Pashupati. This is a representation of that. A repetition of these images across the planet in various forms and in various different manifestations of art has found expression in cave arts going as far back as 8,000–10,000 years.